Hello, everyone. It's a new day, and we already have some critical updates that demand your attention. One of them signals incredible new changes coming to the European Union, a warning of what's to come. Experts are forecasting chaos at entry points into the EU, all because new border checks are about to go into effect. You see, I used to be on the inside at a major media corporation where I saw how the narratives were shaped and spun. I couldn't be a part of it, so I left. Now I'm independent, speaking directly to you, and committed to showing you the real story behind the headlines. And because you make this independent channel possible, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe. If you believe in this mission, consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support is what keeps this truth-telling alive, and honestly, it means the world to me. For anyone traveling to the European Union from a non-EU country, you need to brace for what's coming this Sunday, October 12th. Prepare for potentially long waits as the bloc's new automated entry-exit system goes live. Now, this system will be rolled out gradually over 6 months, so not every checkpoint will switch over at the exact same time. But here's the kicker. The most important thing to know, citizens from non-EU countries will have to wait longer at passport control or use self-service kiosks at airports, ports, and international train stations. Why? To submit their fingerprints and have their photo taken for a facial scan. It sounds futuristic, and not in a good way. The silver lining, if you can call it that, is that for subsequent crossings of internal Schengen zone borders, travelers won't have to re-register. Your data will be used to digitally track your entries and exits. And get this, all of your biometric data will be stored in a special system for 3 years. If your exit isn't recorded, that period extends to 5 years. Make no mistake, anyone entering the European Union will be under complete surveillance. There's simply no escaping it. Meanwhile, over in France, it's a political whirlwind. Wait, don't go, President Emmanuel Macron essentially said to Sébastien Lecornu, and then, in a move that stunned everyone, reappointed him as Prime Minister. This happened just days after Lecornu had resigned. The Élysée Palace has now tasked him with forming a new government and pulling the country out of its deep political crisis. Lecornu is facing some monumental challenges. By October 13th, he has to present a draft budget for 2026. According to the French constitution, the new budget must be presented to Parliament by the Prime Minister no later than the upcoming Monday. Talk about a turn of events. If he fails, France is staring down the barrel of another government shutdown. Experts point out that with a deficit of nearly 6% and a national debt soaring over 114% of GDP, France is already under immense pressure from the European Commission, which launched an inquiry back in July over breaches of fiscal discipline. On top of that, reappointing Lecornu is a direct challenge to the opposition, who were demanding a prime minister from the left, or at least a non-partisan figure. Macron, however, chose to bet on the loyalty and experience of his longtime ally. You could even say his friend. But analysts are warning that if Lecornu can't stabilize the political situation fast, what little trust is left in Macron could completely evaporate. Though you have to ask, how much lower can it possibly go when there's hardly any trust left to begin with? The crisis in France is just escalating by the hour. And while all this is happening, it's been revealed that 7 out of the 27 European Union member states have actually increased their energy imports from Russia compared to last year, 2024. Think about that for a second. In the first 8 months of this year, from January to August, the EU's imports totaled nearly 11.5 billion euros. The countries ramping up their purchases: France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Croatia, Romania, Portugal, and Hungary, and Germany. It's getting its supplies routed through France and Belgium. This is all being reported by major British media outlets. It's all been confirmed. So, on one hand, you have the endless rhetoric about conflict, the constant ramping up of tensions, and the fear-mongering aimed at the public. But on the other hand, the business of buying energy resources continues as if none of that is happening. It's a completely separate track, and at almost the exact same time, a story breaks that sends a chill down your spine. The world-renowned Dutch politician Geert Wilders, leader of the Dutch right-wing Party for Freedom, has just announced he's suspending his campaign for the upcoming national elections. This comes after reports that he was a potential target in an alleged plot uncovered in Belgium to take the lives of politicians. Last Thursday, 3 young men were arrested there, and investigators found a homemade explosive device. Prosecutors are saying the police raids were part of an investigation into an attempted liquidation plot. They haven't officially named all the politicians who might have been targets, but the Belgian Prime Minister, Bart de Wever, was mentioned as one of them by a government minister. After these reports surfaced, Wilders cancelled his appearance at a campaign debate with other political leaders. He later posted on social media that the Netherlands National Coordinator for Counterterrorism and Security confirmed to him that he was indeed one of the targets in this alleged plot. It's a very, very difficult situation. The snap general election in the Netherlands is set for October 29th, and guess what? Wilders' party is currently leading in the polls. And now, at this critical moment, Wilders is stepping back, saying he has a bad feeling and is pausing all his campaign events for the time being. It's a shocking development that could completely reshape the political landscape there. By the way, if you're getting value from this breakdown, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel reach more people who need to hear these things. Now let's jump across the pond to the United States, where the government shutdown is being used as a political weapon. Taking advantage of the chaos, Republicans have laid off more than 4,000 people from the U.S. government. The cuts have hit employees in the Department of the Interior, Homeland Security, Finance, Education, Energy, and other agencies. The unions representing these workers are already in the process of suing the government, calling the dismissals baseless. According to media outlets that lean Democrat, these layoffs are being used by Donald Trump as a lever to pressure the Democrats, since some of the agencies affected are linked to the Democratic Party. Now, in previous government shutdowns, employees who were sent on unpaid leave eventually returned to work once the government reopened and received back pay for their time off. But now, Republicans are blaming the Democrats for what they call an unjustified shutdown, placing full responsibility on them for all the ripple effects of freezing federal agencies. That's the narrative coming from CNN at any rate. And as we know, they tend to push the Democratic Party's line. What they conveniently don't explain is why the Democrats refuse to compromise with Republicans for the sake of ordinary Americans and public servants. This could all be resolved fairly quickly if there was a will to do so. In response, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer has accused the White House of deliberately harming the very people who protect the country and help in crises. The bottom line is, negotiations over the new budget remain deadlocked, and the prospects of ending this shutdown are, to put it mildly, very foggy. At the same time, we're learning that Venezuelan officials had offered the Trump administration significant concessions in an attempt to de-escalate tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela. The discussions reportedly included giving American companies access to oil and gold mining projects, which, as you know, have been a point of fixation for the United States for many years. However, the Trump administration flatly rejected these proposals and cut off any further diplomatic talks. Experts believe the true objective of the U.S. is the removal of leader Nicolás Maduro, who officials in the United States refer to as a fugitive from American justice. In short, he's not their guy. You know, this reminds me of the situation with the Syrian leader Ahmed al-Shara. For a long time, as you might recall, he was on an international wanted list. The United States had declared him a high-priority fugitive and even offered a reward for information about him. But now, that same Ahmed al-Shara is one of us. He's meeting with world leaders as a head of state. He's respected, and on command, he suddenly became a very good guy. But for Nicolás Maduro, it's highly unlikely he'll be able to make that transition to being accepted, let alone respected, like Ahmed did. But let's set aside these complex geopolitical games for a moment and look at something interesting coming out of Canada today. A Canadian airline is apparently about to start charging a fee for the ability to recline your seat. No, you didn't mishear that. This isn't a joke. The airline has decided to charge passengers extra for what used to be considered basic comfort. Now, these seats will be called premium seats, and you'll have to pay more for the privilege of leaning back. As you can imagine, this new seating scheme has already triggered a wave of criticism. Experts are explaining with outrage that the imagination of airlines lately is just baffling. This time, they've come up with a way to create the illusion that people are getting more by overpaying for something that used to be a completely ordinary, simple standard. The thing is, this Canadian airline isn't the first to try and save money on seatbacks. In Europe, some airlines have also announced they will start installing seats without a reclining function as standard, while the adjustable ones will, of course, cost more. All it takes is for one to start, and the rest immediately follow. That's the world we live in now. Everything for the people, but for their money. You understand this perfectly well. So let's quickly recap what we've covered. We're looking at impending chaos at EU borders with a new invasive surveillance system. In France, the political crisis is deepening with Macron's risky reappointment of his prime minister. The US is mired in a government shutdown being used for political leverage, resulting in thousands of layoffs. And even as geopolitical tensions are publicly stoked, we see certain EU nations quietly increasing their energy deals with Russia. It's a complex picture, and every piece matters. These are the kinds of stories that tell you so much about the state of our world right now. I want to know what you think about all of this, so please share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining me. If you value this independent perspective and want to help keep it going, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you can, consider becoming a sponsor. Your support is the foundation of everything we do here, and I am deeply grateful for it. Stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next update.